Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I'm Sly.
I'm the Chief.
And I'm far from happy, Spook.
So, a very special edition of the Collingwood Rant after an embarrassing loss against the Hawthorn. It's all gone to shit very, 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 very quickly.
Did we predict this?
We did, a couple of weeks ago, we did an episode about not getting too far ahead of ourselves. Did you watch that, Chief?
Yep.
He's too busy.
Yeah, you're lying.
Actually, I didn't. I was overseas enjoying the sun and not getting involved in any of the Collingwood at that point.
You just need to lift your game a little bit. We're not Collingwood. We're not going to carry you like Hoskin Elliott for 18 months before we drop you. So let me start with Hoskin Elliott. It's been in the side for fucking like 18 months. He breaks his hand or whatever he does. He's out for 3 weeks. And then they bring him back as a sub against Carlton. Plays half. And then they drop him. That for me is like just it's something showing a little bit of fucking, I don't know, stupidity on the selection policies. Yeah. Why wouldn't you just put him straight back in the VFL? If you're going to bring him back and back him, then why don't you just back him all the way?
Nobody's come back through the VFL.
But that's
even the VFL players aren't coming back through the VFL.
But that astonishes me. It's like you've dropped him, which is an admission. Okay, his form's not great. Then why'd you even bother bringing him back?
I didn't realise it got back that quick.
He learned his lesson. He said he'd never do it again. He said, "Fly, I'm sorry I've been shit. I won't do it again." How'd he go in the VFL this week?
Fuck, I don't know. We talk about selection integrity in the side, and we spoke about this last week. All these players have just come straight back into the AFL. You know, side bottom, Lipinski, Howe, and who's the other one I've missed?
The other bloke.
Cameron. They've all just come straight back in.
Side bottom I can handle. The others, no. The others should have had a bit of a...
I heard Cameron he woke up from surgery and went straight to the MCG.
Well, the other thing on top of like bringing them straight back is you expose none of the VFL to senior football, and now you have injuries, and none of the VFL actually have that exposure, have that readiness to come in. So Finley McRae should have played a while ago. They didn't play him. He's now with a broken thumb. Nick Dacos is out for 6 weeks with a fucking knee injury.
Isn't that great news?
Yeah. So it's like, what exactly... I think they've totally fucked up. And I know like everyone praises the Brains Trust, but they've fucked up the selections the whole year. They've backed players who should have came back through the VFL. They haven't exposed players who should be their next generation. And now they're in the quandary about how do they go forward with these injuries and guys that are blatantly out of form. Well, they rested Ash Johnson last week, so that's good. No, wait, he was actually selected. He just took a rest in the seniors. So what do you think about this game? I had a function on, so like I was only catching it in bits and pieces. Hawthorn jumped us. Remember, like we talked about, I wonder if it'll be an issue to continually give up leads and try and chase them down.
This was an A-grade clusterfuck going though.
But I just had a feeling though, you look at this, it's like, and against Hawthorn we're about 3-15 since 2-11. But this was fucking weeks in the making, this loss.
It has been building towards it. And the concerning thing is, like, and even looking at the game last week, the lethargy is fucking visible. And it's visible
no energy
across the whole 22.
There's nothing. There's no energy at all.
This week, if you sped up your KO to 10 times, you could actually see somebody fucking move in a Collingwood jumper. The defending was appalling. I mean, the fact that they just wouldn't run across the board is just fucking baffling. Where that manic intensity is absolutely gone. Well, and you've got fumbling, fucking poorly skilled old blokes running around out there, it looks like.
Well, they're rumoured to be loading the training preparation for finals.
Are we going to cover the 28 conspiracy theories that explains this?
No, so I'll just go on a few things, because we had a discussion about this. So they're rumoured to be loading... I don't get this philosophy. So you load up the training to be heavier to prepare them for finals, because after 22 weeks in the pre-season, their fitness isn't good enough for finals football, even though you have games like the one against Port, which is finals-like atmosphere. I don't actually get this. Why would you train them harder to prepare them for something that they should be prepared for after 6 months of football?
Oh, look, it's standard practice for swimmers and all the rest of it. It's a standard thing, before you go into an Olympics or a proper meet, you've paired back, and that's the same thing. So to peak now,
yeah, but swimming's like you're going into a premier event. In football, you've had 4 months.
No, but they train all year. Like a swimmer trains all year.
Yeah, but they don't actually have match practice at that level. That's what I'm saying. AFL football, you have 22, 23 rounds of match practice at that level, on top of training, on top of pre-season, on top of years of doing this. So why would you need to up it at this point?
I'm not an expert, but you got to think there's some.
I actually think it's a fucking mythic thing. I think it's like the altitude training that they used to do, which no one does anymore.
Coxie does.
Yeah, well, he does. And all the Collingwood supporters who've said we're premiers, they're all high in the sky. But I think it's one of these things that's sort of like a holdover. They think this is what we need to do, but I don't get it after 22, 23 games. And you had games like against Port Adelaide, which is finals like atmosphere. So you're getting that match intensity. Why do you feel you need to up it? And then you do stuff like this, where the players look flat, you're jeopardising your position. I would have thought you should be primed when you're going in the finals. These aren't guys who just picked up the fucking sport 3 months ago. These are guys who've been doing it for Pendlebury's been doing it for about 115 years.
They look tight. They look tight. And even against Carlton, the first half, they look shot. And then McRae comes out in the press conference and says, "Oh, we had more scoring shots and all the rest of it." But you can't always do that. You can't always get to a point at that. We're behind. But you should be in front, and we should be. We shouldn't worry about chasing stuff down.
How's this methodology going to work? That you play 30% of game time, which is really what Collingwood does most of the time. They have a good first quarter. They have 2 shit quarters in the middle. And then they try and come back in the last quarter. And that's been their methodology for 18 months.
Well, not anymore.
Well, that's a good point.
They're just 100% shit.
Yeah, but that's what it is. This has been a while in the making, I think. And everyone's exhilarated because we come back and we win games and it's, and it's like sort of great. And it's like, but if you fucking dominated the game, like, say, the 2-11 team, you wouldn't have to make these comebacks, these last quarter comebacks, time and time again.
Did you see the stat? Before this game on one of these footy shows, they go, Collingwood's been the most accurate team and the opposition's been the least accurate team when they play.
Yeah.
Which is an indictment of what it is, which basically means that we have been lucky, and they're saying, well, look, we've been lucky. We have, and the Carlton game kind of proved it. We're inaccurate. We lost. The same thing with Brisbane at the start of the year when we lost that one by, we were coming back and we just kept getting point, and then they kicked goals and got away from us. Whereas the Hawthorn game just looked like it was basically they were stuffed from the start, and they thought they could get back into it, and then the Hawthorn took care of it.
Darcy Cameron was obliterated in the ruck.
Yeah, Sicily dominated in the back.
I think if we're going to break this down, that was just poor selection. I mean, Cox was dropped. Cox would have been the perfect matchup for that Reeves.
Yeah.
He's young, he's fucking tall, and he's just fucking like Cameron never leaves the ground. He's your non-jumping ruckman. Mexican jumping beans couldn't get him off the ground. Gravity failing couldn't get him off the ground. But he was just Reeves was just popping around, and the times that Cameron got it, it just fucking was random where it was going.
He hasn't taken a step. We got rid of Grundy because we thought Cameron was going to step up, and he's done nothing. He was better last year.
He's been flat since he got back from injury.
Yeah,
I think around the ground he was just ineffective. He didn't go forward. I think he did take one mark up forward, if I remember correctly. Or was it the week before? All these shit performances are blurring into one.
But this is what we've talked about, Cox being actually the better ruckman.
Yeah.
He has presence around the ground.
I mean, what was the...
and you've re-signed him for 2 years, and then you've dropped him.
You think a great example of that was we only got slightly beaten in the centre clearances this week, 18-3. And that's where the game was lost. The first use of the ball was so important. But and the midfield has to wear some of it. They've been fucking pathetic for weeks as well. And look, we have to qualify that we are top of the ladder and two
games.
Would you take that? Would you take that?
Oh, we'll take it. We have to take it because it just doesn't keep changing. The rest of the competition has been kind to us at the moment. The Melbourne will overtake us soon enough with their run home.
Yeah.
So
they struggled against North today.
For about a quarter.
But still.
I think they were laughing though. They were too busy laughing. I think I saw one of them doing their nails with an emery board at one stage before the third quarter started. But where was I going with all that stuff? I can't remember now.
I don't know.
The midfield.
Yeah.
It just time after time, the way the Hawthorn first use the ball, bang, it's up the other end. We just sort of go.
Watching the game, the lack of pressure, and this happens a lot too. Is when teams get a run on against us. It's like we're just ats and there's training drills. They just run around us, move the ball forward. On this game, they just seem to do it constantly. Whenever we got a little bit sort of close to them, they just pulled away really easily. It was really fucking disappointing. And that midfield is embarrassing. And it's like, okay, you brought Mitchell in. He's been really average for a month, and now he's injured anyway. And your next generation, again, McRae, Carmichael, any of these guys, they haven't had a look in the way they should have had a look in. They should have been the guys coming in next. And we said this, you said it a while ago, you're banking your fucking dominance on the fact you're going to get this 19-year-old kid to get 30 possessions each game, and he's going to drive you to win. And now Nick Dacos isn't there. It's like, where are the rest of them? Pendlebury's side bottom have obviously slowed down. De Goey's been really average since his report suspension. Adams and Mitchell have been really average. Cameron's been average as a ruckman. Josh Dacos has tried on the outer. I don't. People say move him on the inside. I don't think he's big enough physically to actually, withstand the bustle that happens at clearances. So it's like, where are you going to win these stoppages? And they've been struggling for a little while now with this sort of stuff.
Yeah, they can't get it out, and it's noticeable they can't get it out. They can't get first hands on the ball, and they did get Mitchell, and he was doing the job at the start of the year, but I don't know what's happened to him kind of since the bye. He's just not doing the job that is meant to be there for in getting first hands on the ball. Now, part of it might be because the whole midfield group, he's getting it, but there's nothing to go to. In part of it, so it's getting kind of there.
You go to the opposition's.
Well, I'm saying there's nothing. You got it in a pack. You got it in. There's nothing to go to. So whatever the setup around the ball doesn't seem to be working properly. No. Around the clearances.
To be fair, it's not working up forward either. The setup.
The forward setup has been.
I like that McCreary was thrown into the centre because I think he gives him a little bit of zip and a little bit of pace, and he's got defensive intensity.
A couple of our comebacks were based on the fact that he was rucking and the impact that he had, which again sort of showed how ineffectual Cameron was.
Yeah. And then
because McStay's he's not a great ruckman.
No,
he just has presence.
Yeah, he's just a stopgap. Like
I really hope.
He's the Lee Brown.
I hope they fucking...
So, Lee Brown.
Ash Johnson signed on for 2 years and has done nothing since he signed on. I really hope they give Kruger one last look because it seems he's like on the outer. But this guy, at least, he fucking attacks the contest with ferocity. Yeah. At the club, this is the thing that really shits me. I'll say this. Hawthorn, for years, have just been a fucking thuggish, aggressive team. The way they treated Nick Dacos was shameful. Yeah. They actually injured him because they decided to hit him late. And I know that's no doubt that's the Hawthorn methodology to just go, that unsociable football.
Oh, Mitchell's totally with that. He was totally that unsociable football. Yeah. Wasn't he the one who did the neck thing back when he was a player? I can't remember who it was, but And
it frustrates me that the only person at Collingwood who flies the flag in response to that, there's only 2 players and one's in the reserves, is fucking Maynard. Where's the rest of them?
Oh, they should have went straight at him.
It was a concerning lack of remonstration with some of the physicality.
Ever since the Swans game, that people have been targeting him. Nothing happened that day, and they're constantly targeting Dacos now.
Taylor Adams was asked at half time, were you going to do anything to deal with this? And he just said, well, he's going to have to deal with this for the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Well, that's a great that's great. How about helping fucking now? Because he's still a 20-year-old kid. At the end of the day.
Yeah, and when he's around the ball, get one of the bigger bodies just to bump whoever the guy was on him, just bump him out of the way. Just shouldn't be a free kick because basically around the ball. Just when the ball goes up, just go at him.
But this is the thing.
Just to take him out.
This is one of the things where I say to Maynard or whoever, or McCreary, you protect him at the stoppage.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for you to give away a free kick. Just so the guy on him knows, if you go for him, we're going for you. And you're going to fucking feel it also, you cunt. Sorry. But you were going to feel it also. And we don't do that. We don't have that remonstration. And that really worries me. The other guy who does it likes Cox. Cox, whenever he's there, he walks with a swagger. Where is that? Where are you protecting younger players? Nick Dacos is a once-in-a-generation talent, and you just sacrificed him. You fucking threw him to the Wolves, and he got banged up for it. So that's really frustrating.
And that was the other sort of baffling part, is he was really struggling, obviously, to get his hands on the ball. He had 3 touches by quarter time, which is unheard of. He ended up finishing with 5 because that was just how much everybody belted from pillar to post. But wouldn't the logical thing was you would throw him back into his comfort zone once the fact.
Defense.
I think it's good to leave him out there for a little while and learn what the tag feels like. Try some things. Shake if it's not working, throw him back in the back line. Let him get that run and stuff. To throw him up forward was a really strange move, and I think the logic behind it was to try and get him some touch. I mean, the fucking thing wasn't coming up there, so what touch was he meant to be getting?
The good thing would have been...
He got plenty of touches. They were all fucking fists and arms and elbows.
Well, the good thing, if you pushed him back, because the ball was going there, you also had Maynard, like you were talking about, who could have been around the stoppages and all the rest of it up front. And Maynard could have actually given a few bumps in here and there when the stoppages are around, just to show them, around, this is my turf, and around here, you're going to cop it.
Oh, look, I really wish, instead of throwing out forward, and I understand the logic behind it, but I really wish they had a more lateral idea of, whenever Nick is in the middle, I'm going to put Maynard there, I'm going to put McCreary there, and you know what? Nick, you can just actually pull away and play on the outside, and we're going to let these two guys do the hard stuff at the ball. You get you on the outside rather than just sort of going, well, what the fuck do we do with you?
But where are the blocks and all the rest of it? They talk about us, at stoppages, we protect our player at stoppages and the block. Where was that? There's been none of. Are they trying? I don't know. Maybe they're trying it and it's not working.
I think
but there's a lot of things we blocked so that he could take a run at it and all this other sort of stuff.
I think McRae and the Brains Trust there were comprehensively outcoached. And it's really disappointing you think you're first and you're playing 16th. And you're playing a side, they might have set themselves a Collingwood, but they're still 16th. And, it was like, you were embarrassed. This was like the positions were inverted. It was like they were treating us like we were the 16th team. And there was no leadership, no one standing up. They looked flat, they looked tired. Nothing from the coach's box other than frying Nick up forward. You got this forward setup that's not working. I'll fucking say this until the day I die. Playing Darcy Moore at fullback is the greatest waste of talent in the history of AFL football.
Not the way he's playing at the moment.
But get him out of there. I mean, Curnow proved it. Like I've said this before. If Moore's not a great one-on-one player, you're using him as an interceptor, so you're basically using him as a halfback flank interceptor. All right? So when you're actually forcing him to play one-on-one a really good forward, he's going to give up 3, 4, 5 goals. Why not then play a Frampton who's going to do the exact same thing and might actually lock him down? Why not give you the same intercept, but lock him down? You got this guy who could be your Charlie Curnow, your Jeremy Cameron, and you're playing him on the last line of defence. If I was the opposition coach, I'd be going, fuck yeah. And meanwhile, you're playing heavyweights like McStay, Johnson, and Myercheck as your forwards. It's a crime. And it's proven that it's easier to play defence because you just got to follow your play and punch. I don't know, it's like a little bit more complicated than that. But you can get players of moderate skill doing that with great success.
But he creates a lot of the run out of the back, so you got to replace that. Frampton's not going to create the run out of the back.
Frampton's not going to.
And then you've got to get to the forward line. So it's great if he's in the forward line, but if it's not if it's not getting there, it's hard.
But that's why you have guys like Maynard, Quaynor, Markov, and Noble. They're the ones who should be doing that.
But they're doing that, and you still need more to do it because.
No, I think what's happening is more is just become this vacuum there, and it's sucking them all into there, and then they're not generating any run. If you could actually lock down key forwards and create some spillage, and those other guys can actually start to come into it, and if you play more up forward, that's going to panic the opposition, and so you're taking away one of the opposition's strengths. We're actually feeding into an opposition strength by locking this guy down, and he has the occasional game where he has a lot of intercepts. And it's like, well, great, but you don't think it's like that Carlton game. I mean, side bottom set up post game. He's like, I almost laughed. They just kept kicking it to him. So you don't think Frampton wouldn't be able to take like 5, 6 of those marks? And this is not like just this year. I think this is long term. He should be moved out of there. They should be focusing on the defence, shoring that up rather than getting guys like McStay to play up forward. It frustrates me that Geelong got Cameron, Richmond got Tom Lynch. Who was the other one that moved this year? Sydney got Buddy Franklin, and we go and get Dan McStay. And that's no disrespect to Dan McStay, but this is fucking what we always do. We always got to get these money ball players. You've got a gun there. Move him into an attacking position where you can capitalise on him.
It ain't going to happen.
Is Myercheck injured? Because since he's come back, he's done nothing. I don't know what's going on. He's not running in the right positions. He's not taking the marks. I don't know what is happening.
You look at what happened to Mason Cox when McStay came back. They don't know how to use those players in conjunction with one another.
Maybe that's the case. With Johnson, McStay and Myercheck in there, it's just not working. Nothing's working.
Well, it was working. I mean, we've flirted with the form, though, I think, over the last 4 to 6 weeks by bringing... There seems to be a collective of players that they want in there.
Yeah.
And to force them in there, and a lot of that, it probably explains the rushing back from injury. They're not giving him a run or anything back in the day, but they just wanted to build this thing and have it function. But it just hasn't really clicked.
No.
They've eked out wins and stuff. You've had fucking horrible, ugly wins. But I think the wheels to a certain extent are starting to fall off. That it's not really functioning the way I think they wanted it to. But maybe it's the loads.
Well, let me go through the playing list.
The other one too that I heard this week which is a beauty.
We're keeping that cards close to our chest.
Yeah, but they're not alarmed internally. They're deliberately holding themselves back and making.
Oh, really?
Because it's like losing games coming into a finals series. It's a unique strategy. It's never been tried before.
Let's just do it like we did in Geelong in 2011. Let's just get done by I don't know, 99 points, whatever the ridiculous number was. That worked. Of course, that worked perfectly. Let's just take it easy in the last round and get done in the final.
Those sort of... I see those sort of things pop up, and it's like... Seriously, which team goes into the finals
can't.
and then totally changes their game plan? And it's like the opposite. Oh, well, they foxed us the whole fucking year, and they did something totally different. We didn't expect that. No one does it. It's like I don't know if you remember that old American sitcom Coach. That was a sort of premise that would happen in that, where they just did something outlandish. It doesn't happen in football. You have your game plan, you execute it, and when you do it well, you fucking win.
Well,
going in the finals, you might change a few matchups, like you go back to 87 when they played Reece Jones on Brereton. No one expected that. It worked really well. No one totally reinvents the wheel going into the finals.
the interesting was how they threw Howe last week in the forward line and kicked 3 goals in the last quarter.
Yeah, okay. Let's go through the playing list, just with one word description and maybe a little bit of editorialisation, if you have it. Pat Lipinski, what do you think of him?
See you later. He doesn't deserve his spot at the moment, and he's been consistently average since come back. Probably done 1 or 2 good things, maybe had the odd good quarter, but he's been flat as a fart since his return from injury, and that was ages ago too.
Yeah, and he cut straight in. I don't think he went through the reserves either.
He came in at a time that
no players come back from the reserves.
The going
only the reservists,
I think, look, Lipinski at his best, he's still just an average player. He's got a little bit of class about him, but he's just still an average player.
Yeah, he's an average player.
De Goey.
As you said earlier, he's struggled since he's come back from the suspension.
So he's a gun on these days. He's one guy with genuine talent, but he has struggled.
He just hasn't done the ball work that he's...
No, he doesn't.
He's just really...
He's not
sort of there.
He's not consistent enough again and again and again.
He's just not grabbing the games by the scruff of the neck and saying, oh, he'll kick some brilliant goals and... You know, you have these little bullocking moments, but it just doesn't seem to be consistent enough.
It's got to be like a
sporadic.
Cripps, when Cripps just grabs a game
Petrarca,
or something like that, or Petrarca. They just grab a game and says, all right, I'm going to take this team and go.
And he's capable of doing it. Who?
Quaynor?
He needs a fucking haircut.
He's playing well. Out of defence, he's been playing well.
Look, he's been great, but he's lost that ability to mark. That was his great little one-on-one thing, but it's diminishing at the moment.
It's still not bad.
I think that the opposition are putting more time into him.
Yeah.
I think his biggest question every week is what hairstyle he's going to emerge with.
Get rid of the dread. What was he wearing? Spider-Man's black mask or something on his head? Yeah, get rid of the dreadlocks. Get a fucking proper man's haircut. Get out there and play good football again. It's not difficult, is it, Chief?
Thank you, Kane Collins. Maynard.
What's happened to this? Like last year was all Australian, and it's not even close this year.
He went down at number 4, so he's carrying the weight of Grundy.
It's not even close this year. I don't know what.
I think he's still got shoulder problems. He looks like he's struggling.
Yeah, he's struggling.
But I mean,
he's got to be there. But it's just
he's one of those guys like you want a team because he actually will fucking stand up for his teammates, and you don't see that enough. Elliot,
he's been great.
Yeah,
he's
been a shining light.
Yeah. Tom Mitchell.
He's dropped off. He's just not contributing like he was.
No, I don't. Yeah, he's just not getting it as much or feeding it out as much. I think he's still in their best. Yeah, I think he's you still got to have him.
I think he's good at getting the ball, but I think he's still really just a scrapper. He's been
subbed out too the last 2 weeks, so that should be telling me something. Do you know what he needs? He needs to not go back to the VFL to get back into the senior side.
Josh Dacos.
I think he's been pretty good.
He's been good. Yeah.
Yeah, I still think like. I've backed Josh Dacos for years, but I still think like he's pretty much a good B grader with some class.
He's a link man. He's good.
But we've signed him up for 68 years.
Yeah. Bianco.
Where is he?
He's played one game in the seniors this year. He's,
I don't know how he's doing in the reserves.
He's actually doing fairly well in the VFL.
Yeah. But at AFL level?
Yeah, he's not injured enough to get back into the senior side.
I think he needs the run. I think he needs 4 weeks in the AFL. Because you can't just put him in, take him out, put him on a sub, and do the rest. But you need to get adjusted to the pace of AFL.
I'm the jumping... Well, sorry, actually, I'll go to Noble. Noble?
I like Noble.
Yeah,
I think he gives run out of the back.
I know you loathe him, but
I don't loathe him. I just think he's a typical Collingwood scrapper. He fights. He's very competitive, but he's underclassed. And I was going to say, you go to Noble, Bianco, Josh Dacos, Mitchell, Elliott. They're all short, small players.
Yes.
And you can stop fucking recruiting them. I've been saying it for 115 years. Pendles.
He's Pendles.
He's slowing.
Yeah, but this little brain's still there. Not at all.
Yeah, his awareness is. I think he still thinks he has that extra time. But
I think the
younger blokes are catching him a little bit quicker. Look, he still does some really good stuff. He's playing predominantly still in the midfield, isn't he?
Yeah, it looks like
and that's the problem with him. He's slowing down. He shouldn't be probably. He should be doing his twilight years. Up forward or in defence.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really play those positions particularly well. It's midfield or nothing. Where else can you play him?
I think it's a concern that like he's still probably in your top 5 players and he's like 44 years of age.
I agree. But he's still, yeah.
Look, I mean, you can see he's coming down to the pack, and it's happening a little bit quickly now. McStay,
Kicks 2 goals.
Been all right since
he's been better than I thought, but he's a battler. Tom Wilson.
Yeah, whatever.
Adams. You're not going to get better than that.
Wilson's watching. He just crushed him.
There's nothing wrong with it. I haven't seen him play, basically,
someone's sticking a knife in a basketball. He's just deflated.
Barely seen him play.
Adams.
Well, it's Oscar Nelly. You barely see him play either, but we all talk about him.
Okay, Adams.
Keep trying, Tom. You'll make it, mate.
Taylor Adams.
Adams. His old man's a better kick when he's kicking at a basketball.
I don't know whether he should be in the middle more. I don't know. He's one person that you can go at it and goes at it and goes at it and goes at it.
He's a great fighter, but he's still a scrapper.
He's very much Calamity Jane at the moment, though.
Oh, yeah. It's always been Calamity Jane.
I think he needs a good midfield around him to help him look a little bit smoother.
But he's someone who can go and get a ball, though, so that's what's good about
But
him.
he doesn't get it enough. I'm sorry, let me change that. The dynamic is he's fed the ball more than he gets it, which really frustrates me. It's like he should be the one feeding it out.
But he's not. I don't know whether they're telling him to do that or not. Yeah, that's
I don't know, Darcy Cameron?
he's been average this year.
Yeah, disappointing.
Kruger?
Haven't seen him enough this year.
I still like him.
I
think he should be given a crack.
I think he should be getting fucking serious crack.
That
intensity
manic intensity.
He's also
and aggressive.
Yeah, he's aggressive.
I think the problem is he fucking writes himself off.
Yeah, he's a bit fragile.
Cameron? Sorry, I said Cameron. Ed Allen, unsighted. Frampton?
I reckon he's got a place.
Yeah, he should
I'm actually fucking astounded that they ever dropped him.
Yeah.
I think he should have been... Like, they brought him as a defender, and then obviously they had to play him as ruck because of injuries. And then they were doing things like he was playing ruck and going forward, and it's like, just put him back. And the thing that complicated was how came back. It was like, well, what do we do? You know, you recruited Frampton to play this role. He should be fucking in that role.
Yeah.
Unless he's disastrous, but he can't be more disastrous than what's happening. Finley McRae's unsighted. Draper, okay, who? Will Kelly.
Is he going to be there next year?
I doubt it. He was given a year this year. And he's
He
played the Anzac Day
played a couple of games.
Well, I heard they signed him to a short-term contract, so that expires in 2031. Rusco?
I haven't seen him much this year.
Yeah.
Sort of in a bit last year, but this year isn't.
He played the Anzac Day game, and he actually had that beautiful play where he was run down half-forward flank, and he kicked it to Ginnivan at the top of the square. He'll get a look in now, because Murphy's out for 4 weeks. I did get a text from Kane Corn, said, well, he's flopped again, hasn't he? Side bottom?
Yeah. Well, he's got to be there. So, he played, before he got injured, he was probably our best player.
Yeah.
You know?
He's been serviceable since he got back.
Yeah. He needs
Did he come
to get
back through the
into
VFL?
it. No.
No. Does anyone?
No. Hill? Bobby Hill?
He's a cameo.
He's too on and off.
The one thing I'll say with Hill, though, is I look at him, he's potentially got a lot of upside. He's got class and pace. So that's one thing.
He has, but he just goes unsighted for too
I know.
long.
But I look at like the players you bring in, and it's like, I'll get to that a bit later, actually. Jacob Ryan, he's been touted to be playing for the last 18 weeks, and who the fuck knows. Jack Crisp.
He's been disappointed.
But I don't know if I don't know if it's been the role, but ever since the
maybe it's his Instagram.
Yeah,
profile.
this Instagram thing happened, mate. He's been limp. I don't know.
He made a dick of himself.
Yes.
He cocked up. Penis!
If you didn't get it.
Reece McInnes. I think I'm having a frustration with McInnes, and it's got nothing to do with McInnes. Like, he seems to have a bit of class in that. He's a midfielder, and it's like, every time we've subbed him, let's play him forward.
He's always in the forward line. Yeah, even in the reserves, I saw one of the games. It's still in the forward line. So he's tall. He's meant to be a midfielder. They should try him.
Oh, he should be. Look, they should have been blooding these guys. Murley, he's not getting a look in. Murphy.
Which one?
How many do we have?
We've got Alex Murphy, haven't we?
Yeah, right.
He's been good in defence.
Murphy's a great intercept mark, but geez, his kicking worries me.
We're going to miss him big time.
Massive.
Yep.
Well, you got Frampton will play, but
He doesn't have the same, I think, the ability to close.
No.
I think the thing with Frampton is they do have to tell him, look, you're going to have to back yourself for some of your marks, which he punches a bit too much. And like Murphy, he'll back himself at times to really think that's a talent in itself. Not Ted Richards.
Ted Whitten. Yes.
Richards hasn't played. Darcy Moore.
put him in a ruck.
Well, he could be a great.
Well,
He could be a fucking bear.
he's 200 centimetres. He's fucking tall enough.
His last 3 weeks have been fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like he's like doing the kickouts. That's just
It's not for him.
mistake.
Nah, it's not for him.
But just the fumbleness, the bad
The whole
decision
team's
making,
been
execution.
the whole team's been fumbling. I don't know what's happened. The whole team's been fumbling.
Look, as much as this is an exercise in knifing individuals like Tom Wilson, he's no worse or better than anyone else on the list at the moment. They're
all average.
They're all struggling.
Yeah.
It's because they're foxing, though. No, you know that.
No, look,
they faked. I mean, I saw him smiling at one point.
I mean,
like he just stood there. He wasn't running for the ball. He goes, no,
I think they got to
Where
get
we
more.
got
save it for a couple of weeks.
I think they got to get more around the ball. If he plays ruck, I think he'd be fucking brilliant. You know, like I said, fullback's a waste. McCreary.
McCreary's been good. I like him. He creates pressure.
He is your enforcer. I like. I mean, his numbers aren't particularly huge or anything. He bobs up and he kicks some bloody ripper goals.
Yeah, it puts
he
pressure.
brings physicality to every contest.
Yeah.
I think that he still pushes blokes' heads into the dirt when they need it. And I like having him around to do that sort of thing. And then he should start working on getting more of the ball. Though.
He should start working on.
The only
They
thing
should
I'll say
start
with-
moving him to the middle more
Actually,
often than
so
they do.
compare him to someone like Bianco. Okay, Bianco, what's your special skill? And it's like, well, nothing. I'm just competent at everything. McCreary creates fear in players with his tackling. He's one of the best tacklers.
There's
in
also
the league.
speed. He's got a lot of pace.
And that's if you're going to bring in players who are sort of, I don't know what you call, role players or whatever. Fucking give them some super talent. I'm sick of drafting these players who are like, oh, they're pretty sort of good at everything, but not great at anything. Whereas McCreary actually is great at a couple of things. Hoskin Elliott.
Who?
Ginnivan.
Give him a go.
I think it's overdue.
Yeah, I
don't
think give him a go.
Even though his form in the VFL hasn't warranted selection for a while, he has been improving.
He's had some good games. I think
Yeah,
last
weeks,
week he had a good
but
game.
he's not going to give you any less than half the blokes out there at the
No.
moment.
I reckon give him a go.
I think,
He's also got cheek. He's got a
Yeah.
bit of,
he could be X
bit of
factor.
presence.
I'd be happy for him to
Going.
play Ginnivan and then push McCreary more into the midfield. Nick Dacos is obviously a super freak. Harvey Harrison.
He looked okay when he was there.
Yeah.
He's still young. He's still got a
He showed,
mature
like,
bit.
again,
Showed a few glimpses.
He's got a bit of pace and all that. So, I'm happy for them to persevere with him. Markov.
He's overachieved from what I've seen with what we got him for and all the rest of it. So he provides pace off the back line.
The thing with Markov, I like Markov as back team, but
Yeah.
he's a good honest battler.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go into that a bit later. How?
He's been.
He's been not as good as you'd expect him to be, but I don't know if that's
He's about 36 and broke
Well,
his
yeah.
arm in 12 pieces.
yeah.
that-
So
He does have an excuse. Did he come
Yeah.
back through the VFL though?
And they came back through St. Vincent's. Beg.
Why should I beg?
Yeah, so, his miles off it. Ash Johnson.
Yeah, well, how much time we got? I find him incredibly frustrating because he clearly.
You don't think he can win a
supremely
game for
talented.
us?
If he was playing tennis, he'd be Nick Kyrgios. No, and the thing is, you needed someone like him to step up. The amount of marks he drops and the lack of chasing and effort, it frustrates you. Yeah, you can't just get by. And we've signed him up for 2 years, which was probably inevitable. Was it 2 years?
Yeah.
Or 2020? What do we normally do?
2031.
I think we just let them decide that. How long do you think you got in you, mate?
I think we signed for about 800 grand a year.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, we got him cheap then. He frustrates me. I know he's capable of more, but he's just the odd cameo goal. It's just not enough.
He doesn't do enough. When he doesn't mark, he doesn't do enough. So when he hits the ground and to try and tackle those two things, he just doesn't do enough there. Like it takes a great grab and all the rest of it. And he just looks like can take anything at one stage and can't do anything at another
But that's
stage.
what it is. He's a highlight reel in terms of whatever he goes for. It's like this is my highlight, and there's no second effort, third effort, fourth effort.
That's it.
I don't know him or anything like that, so I
Do you
don't
know
know what he's like. I get the sense that he's one of those players that just doesn't think through the game. He just relies on those moments and the natural flair makes him do some wonderful things. But when it comes to where do I run to, where do I stand, when should I attack, when should I tackle, it just doesn't seem to click naturally. And look, he's only played 20 games or whatever. He's played in the VFL, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it was-
won
it was,
one.
yeah. But not
2 weeks
But
ago.
he wasn't injured.
He wasn't
so-
injured enough to get back into the seniors. I think he was here, hit himself with a hammer at one stage, saying, "I'm ready, coach."
Johnson's one of these guys who's like obviously got loads of fucking talent, and that's probably gotten him so far in lower leagues. And now at the AFL league, it's like, well, you can take occasionally a great mark or whatever, but what else can you do? And he doesn't have the work rate, and it's extremely fucking frustrating.
Yep. I think that sums it up.
You know, Mychek, you know, he's a good player, punching above his weight, and really struggled.
Since he came back from injury, I don't know what he's done. You know, before that, he was actually playing pretty well, but since then, he's just been totally out of sorts.
But I think the inclusion of bringing McStay back in has broken that sort of...
Yeah, whatever it's been.
It's two very similar types, sort of running in the same space. At the moment, McStay's doing it better because he kicks 2 goals a game. If you do those ads, 2 goals every day. That's it. I think he looks at the coach's box. He does this. He goes, "Take me off now. I've done enough."
Charlie Dean, obviously injured for the last 2 years, so we'll see him in the AFL next week. Oscar Steen,
He's the skinny ruckman, isn't he?
yeah, he's there so they can rhyme him with Dean. Carmichael,
I'm surprised he didn't get another crack. I thought he was...
I think he had one game as sub,
Didn't
and he
get
came on
injured.
as a forward.
No,
He wasn't injured, that's why.
Not
you
injured
know,
enough. to
not
come
injured
back.
enough.
And Mason Cox, who they've just re-signed for 2 years, which is a baffling sort of thing to do.
You put him on from 1 year, and he's had like nothing outstanding this year, and you give him another 2 years. What does that mean, Chief?
Yeah.
You've done player negotiation.
Oh, of
before.
course. Someone's going to get injured. That's why. You know, they already know. Or someone's injured that they don't know. It'd be good to, because we never drop anyone in reserves, drop one ruckman and put Cox in. And try Cox one out and put Frampton in, Cox in, and just run one of Frampton or McStay or something as a sub, and run Cox for 80% in the ruck and see what he does. And just tell him, be physical.
Because you will be physical though. That's it.
Yeah. So where was I didn't with your scenario then, because I wasn't listening to all of it. I was thinking of something in my head. Can you see it? There's a small light on. What were you doing? Anything with Cameron in that thing? Because I think once you
jumped in.
Yeah.
You dumped him.
We dumped him.
Oh, you two were such a good pairing.
Put it in the reserves.
Yeah, because there's no getting out of the reserves. There's no escaping it. It's like the Twilight Zone.
It's like Escape from New York.
I believe Rod Serling's coaching the reserves.
Oh, look, I said it. Cox was best on ground against WS ages ago, playing full-time in the ruck. And then they fucking dumped him from that role, and they brought Cameron back, which is the most ridiculous thing.
Straight.
Yeah.
After
Straight
you.
back in. You should play a game in the VFL. Do you know that?
You should have...
Not one.
Surely, Cox, you should have
He doesn't
said,
even go to the VFL games to watch.
let's have a look at, at Cox as a ruckman for the next month. He's got physicality, he's got really good tap work. He jumps a little bit early, but you know what? He's not a fucking forward. I've said this for 5 years, and you keep playing him.
And he
as a
doesn't need to
forward.
jump that early when you're that tall.
Yeah. I actually, I went through the list too, because I actually think when you look at this list, it's a fucking really typical Collingwood list. It's full of all these battlers who are asked to punch above their weight, full of all these scrappers who do really well when everything's running well. And then when it gets exposed, they just all...
Every team's the same, though.
No.
They are.
All right, let's look at this. Okay, who's Carlton got as their 2 key forwards? Where they come in...
Kerno and
Okay.
Okay. Who's Brisbane got as their 2 key forwards?
I have no idea.
Well, Danaher would be a top 10 pick, and that Hipwood would be a pick 14. All right. Adelaide's got that. Taylor Walker would have been a top 10 pick. That Fogarty, that Tilthorpe would be a top 10 pick. Well, he was a top 10 pick. He was pick 3 or something. Sydney, Buddy, that Logan McDonald, top 10 picks. We have these fucking battlers. Melbourne's the only one that doesn't have top 10 picks up 4, but they have a lot of them around the ball in Batraka and Oliver, and then they have 2 top 10 picks in defence. We get exposed because we've got fucking guys who are asked to punch above their weight. They're money ball players, and this is what Collingwood's done forever. As long as I follow them. This side, I said it to someone else today, they look like the 1981 grand final side. They've even got a more on the day cost in it, both of them.
History.
You invest, and the one time we actually invested in the draft, which was 2010, we fucking slaughtered the opposition outside of half a grand final where we choked. And I reckon this is one of the big problems of Collingwood. You're just lacking class across every line. And you tell me, you look at the midfielders again. Who's our great midfield there? They're all, besides Nick Dacos, they're all battlers. And DeGoey, a really good player when he decides to play. Who are they?
Yeah, to top 10 picks.
Yeah, okay, so they're 2, but who are the others? Adams he was technically a pick 13, but he would have been lower because he was pick 13 in those compromised years when GWS and that were taking all the guys as pre-zones and all that. And anyway, Adams, even if he was a top 10 pick, he's not a classy high pick. He's a fighter. And this is, you look at it, there's a lot of guys like that in our side, which really is typical of Collingwood. Bounce back too quickly. They moneyballed solutions in Frampton, McStay, in the past, Dunn, fucking Roughhead and all this sort of stuff. And they just get found out. You go to the 2018 grand final. Who was our full forward?
I have no idea.
Would have been Cox. 5 years earlier, he didn't even know what AFL football was. Who was their centre-half forward? Mychek. They fucking rookied him as a defender. Who was their two key defenders? Tom Langdon, who was a fucking flanker, and Tyson Goldsack, who was a flanker. And I know we did have injuries. This is what we do constantly, and this is why we get found out, I reckon, on the big day. You go back to last year when we lost to Sydney, they were kicking the guys like Buddy Franklin and that, we were kicking the Jack Ginnivan and fucking Mychek. And this is what I think really frustrates me at Collingwood. For some reason, we feel like, hey, bring these guys in, they're really good fighters, they embody the Collingwood spirit, but then when push comes to shove in finals, we just lack that one or two class players. And if you look at, you go to 2019 prelim, which we lost, if, say, we'd landed Tom Lynch, that would have been the difference in that preliminary final. Actually have a genuine key forward. Geelong, why Geelong finally win a flag? Because they fucking went out and got that Jeremy Cameron. They didn't get Dan McStay. And this is what I'm saying, class gets you better results. And that's what frustrates me with Collingwood. In the Collingwood social media, because the digital media team does a great job, you saw that they had that competition where the dads of the players were having shots. I don't know if they were having shots at a basketball hoop or something.
No.
Yeah, I did say it, yeah. What about it?
Oh, you mentioned something interesting in social media to me.
Did I?
Yeah, you don't remember? You've been drinking?
Must have been insightful. Can you give me a hint what I said?
Let me read it. I've printed it out. Can they stop fucking around with all this feel-good shit and just get back to basics?
That sounds exactly like the sort of thing I'd say.
I've paraphrased you.
I don't mind these little feel-good moments and stuff. I don't think this is the time of the year now to be doing it. I know this light-hearted approach has worked for us, but now it's time to knuckle down and be focused on the next couple of weeks. And I don't think this is the cause of us slipping or anything like that. I just don't know whether externally it's a good look. Do you think Hawthorn had their dads come over and kick a footy at a basketball hoop this week? I think they were pretty much fucking determined and focused on fixing us up, and they achieved it times 10. I just don't know whether we just... I'm sure we have the eye on the prize type thing, but I reckon now's the time where you start narrowing that tunnel vision.
Everything's got to be narrowed down to finish the year well for the final.
Fly says that, in between we're a work in progress every 10 minutes, that we should be fighting for position at the moment. And we've achieved that. However, though, this could all fucking rapidly come undone. You actually do have a number of sides that are also equally fighting position, and their draws are a lot more favourable. That means there's going to be at least one that'll leapfrog us. I think, do we have to win?
I don't think so. We've
got to win one, probably two to be safe.
I reckon one.
To lock in top two.
Three left?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to win one. I think to be safe.
Well, I think to be...
But we got
just
Geelong.
To be okay. But it probably depends on results as well.
Oh, they're 2 games and pretty much percentage behind. So you got to think we could play Geelong.
Oh, hang
on.
Let's get to that in a bit because I was going to go to that. Braden Maynard's mum says we're still top, so that's not good enough for you.
I love Facebook. Some unique observations.
So stuff like what you're saying there.
It's okay to lose to Hawthorn because it happens all the time.
Yeah,
it doesn't actually mean anything.
No.
But you're talking about the lack.
There are bogey side.
I don't want to lose.
But you're talking about the lack of
focus. I want to win by more.
And I look at also the way we played that globetrotter football, and I think sometimes they've overly invested in the lateral approach to things, or it's just like, no, just bring it back. This is what you got to fucking do. Just do the basic things.
It's pressure. Like we the last 2 weeks, we've been absolutely smashed with pressure on the ball. Pressure on the player, pressure on the ball. It's just been the opposition has just absolutely destroyed us.
But I think there's times
where
there's
lack of pressure too.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Our lack of pressure compared to their pressure, they've destroyed us.
Intensify, we drop.
Yeah,
it does bring you a large void.
Yeah, and the pressure on the ball carrier just makes you make mistakes.
I was just saying, but I think at times we go for the fancier option than just the simple one. Like pick up the ball and fucking handball. You don't have to go for a tap every single time. Just do the basic things. What do you think about McRae's message? Like, it's always, we're getting better, we're work in progress, we're not finished, we're, getting better as a growth mindset or whatever the fuck he says. I'm starting to get like a little bit tired of this fucking rhetoric. It's starting to sound like Buckley when he was going on about the brand, the KPIs. That's not our brand.
The one thing I did like is I hate losing and I don't want to lose. That's one thing. That's one thing I liked out of the whole thing, because he says it every week. We win by 73 points. We're getting better. We're getting better all the time. This is it. But I did like. I hate losing. I hate losing more than anyone else. I just don't want to accept it. So that's good. I like. That's what I want to hear.
You walk a tightrope with this stuff, and Sly's mentioned it recently, and I'm agreeing with it now. You say these catchphrases in the press conferences all the time. They sound good when you're winning, but when you're losing, I think people then looking, that's not justification enough.
Yeah.
I want to start hearing your theories on why we're losing. I want some answers. Otherwise, they just sound like deflective statements now. They've gone from being, yep, that's a great mindset to have, to, well, do you have any other fucking thoughts on why we're turning shit? Unless, of course, they're foxing. They're foxing. Did he say that he didn't now? Didn't say the president of the week. Did he say we're foxing?
No.
He goes, we're deliberately throwing games.
The questions the media pack us are just stupid.
They're stupid
dumb.
minds.
They're stupid questions. There's always a question about Nick Dacos, whether you got 5 possessions or 35 possessions or something. Mate, all right, yes, go to something else. It's just inane.
I didn't mind one question that the media asked this week, which was, does any of the senior players know where the VFL play? Do they are aware there's another tier of competition that you can come back through?
Is the doctor on the selection panel there for you?
No, you guys nowhere near him either.
Right, so Nick Dacos out for 6 weeks. Nathan Murphy's out for 4 weeks. People are saying this is the end of the Collingwood run at the flag. So what do you think of that? We're playing Geelong, Brisbane and Essendon, I think it is. Yep. And so you got 3 games. You can't slide it at the top 4. So that's safe. So worst case scenario, I don't know, it depends on results and that, but they could probably finish like 3rd or 4th and have to go into state. But what do you think about the actual flag tilt? Because it's not just the injuries now. They're going to have to play without Nick Dacos, who's been their best player and Brownlow medal favourite and shit. They're going to have to find a way to fucking make the midfield work, which has stopped working. They're going to have to find a way to make the forward line work, and that's not working. And the defence has been a schmozzle, which is just a lot of shit. So it's all unravelled at the wrong time.
I reckon it's great.
What, really?
Not that they're injured. I reckon it's great they actually got to think differently. So
they've
got to make the midfield work now, but Dacos wasn't in the midfield for the first half of the season, so let's get back to how to make that midfield work. And he's a gun player, and putting him in there should just get us better. Get that forward line working. If McStay you want him in there, figure out how to make that work, and figure out how to make the defence work, and give blood these players out of the reserves that have. I think it's actually a good thing. They have to think differently, not the players are injured, but I think it's a good thing that they actually
challenges them now in the way they
and these two losses, one to Carlton and now one to Hawthorn, which you would have, there was a money, if there's penciled it in anytime, I think it's actually a good thing in a sense that the Brains Trust has got to think about different things than just, we're going to go, win it in the last quarter, and the players as well.
Let me just go to that.
This is what we need to do.
If they're thinking they're going to win in the last quarter, I'll seriously fucking go burn down the club. If that's what their goal is, I mean, totally agree with you. The only thing I'm surprised about it's unravelling spectacularly is that it's not a grand final. They've done it like about 8 weeks early, so that's really good. Getting that out of the way early.
Thanks for the efficiencies.
Look, it's
the new way, the way of the new world. It's social media, and I don't know what else.
At the moment, they just need
saves us a lot of money.
That's true.
At the moment, they need to tread water. Just for right now, just survive, get into the finals. You can win that first one, but even if you don't, you still have a second chance, and that's when you'll be getting Nick Dacos back. Hopefully Murphy will be back a little bit earlier.
Well, I think Dacos isn't back until the prelim if he gets back.
Well, he'll have the 3 weeks. So there's 3 weeks now, and then there's the week off, so that's 4.
Yeah.
Then you have 2 finals.
It's a 6-week thing.
So
but if you win
the
first, that's another...
If you win the first line, you get another week off. To the prelim, so...
But either way...
I mean, time-wise, it's going to be out that long. But I mean, I'm looking at it from the point of view that, look, maybe...
Do you think he's foxing that injury?
I think he's getting Melways to VFL.
I saw him with a Sharpie draw a little crack on his knee when he was on the bench.
So what do you think?
And he was doing this.
But what do you think? Do you think it's over?
little wink. Do
you think it's over, or do you think there's still a chance of the flag?
I I feel at the moment, after what I've seen the last 2 weeks, that it's struggle town now.
Who's going to get it? Port's collapsed. Brisbane's
I think it's
50,
Melbourne's.
No, great. Melbourne's average. So
Melbourne's a bit more than average at the moment.
Oh,
Since
yeah,
Graw's
right.
gone into the ruck, they've been really good.
but what I'm saying is no one there that's actually then started grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and said, we are the one. Carlton has. They've won 7 in a row. They've actually played all right.
Well, played all shit teams. Though.
Yeah, they have. But I'm just
Including
saying,
us.
there's no one else there. So I don't think it's dented any... Look, it's dented it, but it's not...
Well, but I'm saying,
we're still there.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I mean, it's gone from
it.
like where people thought it was a certainty to have one hand on the cup to now.
Yeah, but I never thought it was. I'm a Collingwood supporter. I don't think it's a certainty.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing there, the biggest detriment is you've lost Nick Dacos, and he was your best player for the year.
A lot of drive.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of drive, whether it's from halfback or in the middle. And you got to think about like with a player like that too, whoever it is, when you have someone playing well, that lets other guys get off the leash beneath him. Now those guys all move up one rung. And it's good if they can deal with it.
Yeah, well, you got to see.
I mean, Mitchell might be out. I mean, he injured a quad.
Yeah.
So, and they don't really have a ready sort of ready replacements. There's not someone just sitting in the reserves they can bring straight back in.
Yeah, you'd have to rejig, put an Adams in the middle more often. And there's a few things that you'd have to do out of that. But
and they're roving to a ruck who is problematic.
Yeah, he's getting killed every week.
The thing is, you've only got 3 weeks to fix this. It's probably, if I had to be honest with myself, I'm expecting to get smashed against the Cats.
So that's who we're playing yesterday. We're playing the Cats. They just had a good win against
Port. Have a lot to play for at the moment to stay in the 8, I think.
Yeah.
They could still conceivably drop out. Are we too comfortable with that 2-game gap?
I think part of that's probably contributed to where they are, and they're starting to look a little bit too far ahead.
The thing is, I think out of those, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that I thought the next 5 games is going to tell us a lot about where we're actually at. So far, it's been shit. But I would have fucking thought out of all of them that the Hawthorn game was a certainty.
Yeah.
Maybe they had the same mindset. They didn't treat it seriously enough. Because you look at the game going into it, apart from pride, what are Hawthorn actually playing for in that game? They're not going to improve their ladder position. They can't drop any lower if they're looking for picks or anything like that.
I like Essendon Scott, not Geelong Scott, came out and said we were too complacent against West Coast. We can't just go into any game and just think we're going to win. And that's you talk about McRae saying the same things over and over. You want to hear a coach say, yeah, we took this too easy, and our players. But not, we prepped all week great and everything looked well. It's like, no, I knew there was something off during the week and something wasn't quite right, and I was a bit worried about what it is. And look, he did say, when I run scenarios through my head, I thought potentially they're going to kick 4 or 5 goals on us and then we're going to have to chase down. So, but doesn't say it as clearly as Scott or someone.
But that's the
says
good
those
thing.
things.
The 2 Scott brothers are like that. They'll just speak openly, whereas. Like I said, McRae's almost becoming corporate speak. We're all about getting better. It's a growth mindset and all this sort of stuff. It's like, all right, great. You've been saying that for 18 months. I'd rather you just said it wasn't good enough. It was not good enough today. We're on top. We need to be fucking better than this. And there's players at the club who need to look at themselves. We need to take care of Nick Dacos more. Darcy will be disappointed with the way he's played in defence.
Yeah, those things. You want to hear that, the clarity. What shits me about the Dacos thing, because we talked about it before. Ever since the Swans game where he got roughed up, he's constantly getting roughed up every week. And we're not defending him. And it reminds me a bit of Ginnivan last year when he was getting roughed up every week after the AFL, basically said to every other player, look, go and decapitate this kid. The coach didn't come out. The club didn't come out. The players didn't come out and said, this is a disgrace. What the hell are you doing to this kid over here? It's happening the same thing with Nick Dacos. Not for head high, but getting targeted behind the play things. He's constantly getting copying it. And we're letting it go again. We've got to clamp down there. And other teams are saying, oh, we can do these things.
Yeah, and the really shitty thing is the double standard. Like, if it was some other player, there'd likely be a bit of an outroar. But for us, and then we just shut up and fucking take it. And it's really frustrating.
Well, you saw there's the world's biggest turd, Corns, I think it is.
Well,
there's always corn in your shit.
Yeah.
Really? You can probably put 2 and 2 together here. He had some fucking article about... I wish I'd read this fully before we were talking about it. I was hoping one of you would have read it.
Well, I've got Kane Corns on the running sheet. So which one is it? The Ali Lucky Jones one, or
no, the one where he said about
it's a win. Yeah. So you said that on Footy Classified.
What is that?
Because he goes Port lost, and they had all these players out, and some of them are fucking nowhere near the Port's AFL team, let alone the SANFL team. But he was going. But if I was Ken Hinkley, I'd be treating this as a win. Because to get that close to Geelong at Geelong against the reigning premier, who's ninth before that, but to get that close against Geelong when you got all these players out, I'd be treating it as a win. And pretty much everyone else on Footy Classified just go, mate, you're full of shit.
Did Geelong get hammered by someone done the week before?
Yeah, they lost to the GWS or something.
Yeah, it's
and Damien Barrett Corns brought up the injury list, and Damien Barrett goes, well, fucking two of those guys are nowhere near the senior team, so why are you bringing them up? So that's what he brought up, and that was going to segue into my other thing is to last week's game, the Port Adelaide, who the fuck they play? Whoever they played, and Alia and Lockie Jones.
Yeah, the concussion thing, yeah.
And then bloody Corns came out on Footy Classified, and he's going, oh look, well the doctor's made a mistake, he's put his hand up, I trust this doctor with my kids' lives. It's just a mistake, but they'll learn from this. Good clubs don't abandon good people. So you think if this was any other club, particularly if it was Collingwood, what would he have said? And the thing that kills me about this whole fucking narrative that he's painted, and this shits me, the AFL went really piss weak on this. Everyone in that fucking stadium, everyone watching that game knew immediately Jones and Alia were concussed. Because the way they knocked their heads and the way they fell limp to the ground. Everyone knew they were concussed, but apparently no one at Port Adelaide said to the doctor, you better check these guys. And the doctor just said, I'm not going to check these guys. And meanwhile, the AFL's done their typical piss weak response of like, oh, well, we accept their thing. They fucking blatantly went out and did not address that, Port Adelaide. And Corns has defended that, which is just shit.
Corn shit.
Back to that. Yeah. So anyway, so you were talking about like he's, fucking it's a win to lose at Geelong. So we're playing.
It wasn't actually that one, but that'll do.
Yeah.
But there was something. He was having a crack at Nick Dacos about something.
Does he have a crack about anyone else? He's just cracking it.
The thing is, I should have
anything good.
I should have read it. I know I brought it up because I start reading this stuff, and the minute it annoys me, I back it up and stop reading. Because the thing is, he does this deliberately.
He does.
He says absolute fucking crap to get a rise out of him, and that's how he gets his attention.
I don't think he's that bright.
Well, but I think it's not so much his attention; it's the way the fucking media works.
That's what I think it is. I mean, the other thing he said about Nick Dacos, he's got to go harder at certain contests. There was that one where he short-stepped with Cripps last week, where it was like he knew Cripps was going to get the ball, and instead of going for the ball, he just decided, like, I'm going to go for the next option, which would be the tackle. And Cripps even gave him shit about that, so I think that might be the other one.
Yeah, he did say that.
There was also that one today. I think Tom Rockcliffe made a comment about Nick taking a dive, so someone's had a swing at him in a pack and he's fallen backwards. And the article headline was something like former AFL superstar or something. I think they mentioned Tom Rockcliffe. Unforgivable act.
Oh, yeah.
Like, fucking hell. Staging, it's never a good look. But,
is it staging?
But the thing is, if someone actually takes a swing at you, your natural reaction is to pull back.
Yeah.
Now, if someone's pushing and struggling at you, I really didn't go into the fucking footage with all that great attention because who would want to watch this shit again? But what's to say he wasn't just knocked off balance and went down? Yeah, but does it have to be the fact that he hasn't got a history of doing it? And what, today was just the day that I'm going to do this and take one? Or look, maybe if he did, he just made a mistake. I don't think he's that sort of player that needs to do that.
No.
But straight away, the media just want to get that angle in that this is the worst thing they've ever seen.
Or maybe the fucking issue should be, and this is the thing about the Nathan Murphy hit of the Willie Rioli one, is why are you looking at the result and rather than the actual action? So the action is, well, someone's taken a swing at Nick Dacos, but we're not examining that. We're actually examining that Nick might have taken the dive. Murphy got hit to the face right on the jaw, and it was like, well, he's taken the flop. How about the actual fucking hit itself? That is the issue.
He did. If someone gets hit the jaw, he's going to fall over. It's natural. That's what he got a hit, and he fell over. That cost us a goal because basically 20 seconds later he got
Rioli
the mark.
Was free,
Rioli was free, because Murphy couldn't go up to that pack. Therefore, the Port player, they got it. They kicked it down to him, and he kicked the goal out of it. So wait a minute, that act, which got nothing, not even a free kick out of it, cost us a goal. At a crucial part of the game.
But it's his narrative they want to paint about certain players. It's the whole thing like Jack Ginnivan last year. It's like he's constantly ducking. For 15 years, Joel Selwood did this, and it was, sort of his quaint, he's getting away with it, he's exposed the loophole, blah, blah, it's great. But meanwhile, that idiot Anthony Hudson, he's never commented on that, but the moment Ginnivan might have taken, ducked into one or something, it's like, he plays for freeze.
At the moment, you're seeing people get freeze that Ginnivan wasn't getting freeze for last year. So I don't know what the laws are anymore.
But
It's just ridiculous.
But you can't have this thing where the laws are applied to certain players, not to others, and that's ridiculous. And again, that's the sort of thing last year Collingwood should have went harder at with the AFL, and that's where I really wish you did have an Eddie Maguire who fucking just came out and mouthed off a little bit and put the AFL on notice. I wish Brown or Wright or McRae just said something at that point.
They should have said something. I thought McRae should have said something. Whatever, if you get fined, then we'll pay it. It's a young kid that needed protection, and we did do it.
But it's also the other thing too is you got to be seen to be standing up for your players. So if McRae went and said, "This is the worst fucking umpiring of all time. You protect him or we will," and they said, "We're going to fine you $50,000," at least Ginnivan and the other players go, "Our coach has got our backs." When he goes out there, our club has got our back. Instead, just sort of talking diplomatically around it, which is just ridiculous. Get back to the Geelong game. Your tips. So, who do you think will come in? So, obviously, Nick Dacos straight out. Nathan Murphy straight out.
Frampton will come in, obviously, for sure.
Hoskin Elliott?
I think...
Potentially, not...
Well, he did nothing in the VFL.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
No, no one knows the VFL.
So you got to think, potentially, Ash Johnson might get dropped as well.
I'd love to see Johnson out. I'd love to see Kruger in. I'd love to see Frampton in. And I would like to see Rusco in. And then, just rejig that defence. Play more. If you're going to play him in defence, play him higher up. I mean, the thing about the interceptors that the great coaches do is they don't actually play on the best forward. They play on the worst forward, and then they zone off and get the interceptions. So why Moore's got to sort of expected to do both, but so with Frampton there, he can do that. I think that back six has to be Frampton and Moore if you're going to stay with Moore down there. You're going to have to play the two big guys.
That's what I reckon.
So the Cats were missing Blyclabs and Hawkins.
Blitz ass. Blyclabs.
Blyclabs is still out, I think.
Yeah,
I think he's out for a while.
Blyclabs? What the fuck's this Blyclabs?
Isn't there their big
Blitz ass.
It's Blyclabs, isn't it? Blyclabs or
Blycabs.
I don't give a shit about what his name is. What do you call himself?
Well, he's and their captain Dangerfield.
Yeah, Hawkins had a hamstring, so he'll have a miraculous recovery.
Of course he will kick forward.
He was basically rested.
Yeah, was he?
Yeah.
That's a big game against Port. I don't think they'd rest.
They
played exceptionally well from what I saw against Port the other night. That was a good game. Port they lost, but they...
It was a win, though. It was a win.
They seemed to cover themselves quite well. It's going to be a big fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cameron will probably kick 12 and that'll be all she wrote.
Cox might be back in.
Cox? I'd not see Cox
apparently his numbers were okay.
But I'm saying if you go... if Johnson goes, potentially Cox comes in for Johnson.
Oh, you play him up forward.
Play ruck.
No, I'd play Cox for Cameron.
I would, but Cameron won't get dropped. Yeah, it's not going to happen. So I'm saying, what do you think happen, not what you want to happen?
Oh yeah, but Cameron's been pretty shit. So
yeah,
they might be ruthless. They might be putting everyone on notice by dropping
him.
Good,
hopefully.
Yeah,
but then you find out he's injured.
So what's your tip?
Cats by 12 goals.
Collingwood by 4.
I tip a Collingwood win. Geelong by 12 points. It'll be a win for Collingwood though.
Friday night at the G doesn't get any bigger, does it?
Well, that's
huge game.
That 4:40 time's a pretty good slot. 4:40 and 1:10 on the Sunday. What a time!
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, isn't it? No, it'd be good Friday night to watch the loss. Win. Sorry.
Well, in corn speak, it's both. It can be both.
Corn
shit. So, any final thoughts?
Chunks of corn in your shit.
Any
corns?
Yeah, I think we don't.
I think because singular is corn. Is it plural? You're the wordsmith.
Yeah.
Is corns.
Yeah.
Corns in your shit. See?
I'm glad we hung off of that one.
So it works. It's
setup there.
It's like poetry, right? You can edit that one out if you want.
No, I'm not doing that. Yeah, talk to Blue Cav about it. Any final thought? Yeah, Blue Cav.
Blue Cabs.
You'll learn how to pronounce his name properly one day.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Nah, fuck him.
Yeah.
Win.
Yeah, me. That's what I think. Later.
See ya.
Bye.